what I invited you to do was to discuss what it means to be in business for you, using, if they resonated, uh, both or either of these prompts. So, what it means to be a woman in business, and this concept of when we change the way we do business, we change the world. Now, these two are so meaningful to me. They lie at the heart of everything I do with my coaching and with the Female Business Academy. So that's why I gave the kind of option for you to do something else if they didn't resonate with you. But my feeling is, as members of my audience and members of my academy, they probably do hold some meaning for you as well. So I'm going to talk about both. I'm going to try and keep it fairly brief because I'm slightly concerned that my husband's auntie is going to bring a little boy home any minute. She shouldn't do till for the next half an hour, but just in case. And so I'm going to start. First of all, I want to say that these two, what it means to be a woman in business, and when we change the way we do business, we change the world, for me, are so closely interrelated. Changing the way we do business really, for me, depends on more women showing up powerfully in business, and more women building businesses and being CEO of their own businesses, and also moving into high positions within other people's businesses. So for me, the two are aligned, but I'm going to break them down. I'm going to talk a little bit about what it means to be a woman in business. And I'm going to be sharing, some of this comes from my own experience of being a woman in business, and some of it comes from my experience of working closely with a lot of women in business. So for me, there's so much magic around women being in business. There's such an urgent need for more women to be in business because of this whole idea that the way we do business is the way we do life, in a way. If we think about everything that's wrong with the world, it comes down to, I think, business, big corporations putting profit before people. And money, this idea of money and greed. I think that we could probably, even wars, slavery, abuse, human rights violations, all of it tends to come back down to business and money and finance and greed. So I really do feel quite strongly about this. And so I realize, even though I want to separate them out, I'm going to probably dive between the two, and that's okay. So for me, what it means to be a woman in business is having more women in this position to influence the way the world is, and make the world a better place. So I often talk a lot about, changing the world through business, because I really believe that is something that is possible, and there's so many ways that we can change the world. I love and fully support, people who are doing it through mindfulness, who are doing it through yoga, who are doing it through healing. For me, what I found is I get lit up about business. It's something that I feel really passionate about. And the more I've kind of gone into this topic, the more I see how it is an avenue for change, on a societal and a global level. So being a woman in business. So what drove me to work with women in business was the fact that I saw in myself and in other women that I had been coaching, because I was a life coach. I mean, I still am to an extent. It's not like I wouldn't do life coaching if somebody asked me for that. But hey, Sonia. Welcome. But I during that time of doing life coaching, I did have several women who I supported, to build or grow their businesses. And I found that was the work that really lit me up. I really loved it. And I also found that women tended to hold themselves back more when it came to their businesses compared to men, as I could see it. And I'm going to talk a bit on this Facebook Live in generalizations, because of course there are men who also hold themselves back, and there are women who are wildly confident and don't hold themselves back. So I know that these are generalizations, I'm fully aware of that, but in my experience of being a woman and of working with women, these are some of the things that I see. So I just saw so many women not putting themselves out there, having these wonderful, incredible gifts and not putting themselves out there to be more visible in the world and to get their work out in front of their people. And, you know, it really came home to me this week in this challenge when I saw your Facebook lives, and I was just like, why aren't you doing this every day on your Facebook pages, and why aren't you, you know, sharing these wonderful gifts and this wonderful depth and intelligence with the world? And, you know, that's what I've seen a lot of. There's an amazing section, I think I actually have it tabbed. I won't read it because it's quite long, but it's in Big Magic, and it's where Liz Gilbert talks about perfectionism being particularly tricky for women. And you know, she's very comical in this book. I think I love her sense of humor, and she talks about how, you know, men often will go and they don't care if they look stupid, they don't care if they get it wrong, they don't care if they fuck up, you know, but they'll put themselves out there, you know, sometimes to the point where you think maybe they should hold back a little bit. And then women do the opposite. They want it to be absolutely perfect, and because we're our own worst critics, it very rarely is absolutely perfect, so we just don't get it out there, and it's such a crying shame. And so that's what drove me to want to work with women. I really wanted to support and empower women to shine and to just get themselves out there and kind of get over this fear, because that's been my journey over the last couple of years. And being in my first really proper long-term serious relationship, which is the one I'm in now with my husband, hey Vanessa, has allowed me to see the, like, in really stark contrast, the differences between me and Joanne, my partner, in the way that we approach life. He doesn't think anything of, you know, throwing up when we first moved to Valencia, a city that he'd never lived in. You know, he was Spanish, but he'd never lived in Valencia, and going and meeting with, you know, associations of entrepreneurs and, you know, all sorts of stuff, and organizing workshops and just doing it, getting it out there. And I was watching from the sidelines thinking, how are you doing this? I would be absolutely terrified, so terrified I probably wouldn't do it. But I was so inspired by him that I started to adopt some of his attitudes, which is like, what's the worst that can happen? If I, you know, at the end of the day, I will become a person who has run a workshop, a live workshop, you know, in the city. Even if only 2 people turn up, I'll still have had that experience and learned and evolved and grown into someone who can then make it better the next time. And so, and I've seen that a lot as a difference between men and women. Men are much more, seem to be much more confident and capable of putting something out there, knowing it's not perfect, and then refining it and testing it and split testing in it and all that stuff. Whereas women think that there's just this one shot, you know, I'm going to put it out there, and if it's not perfect, I'll be shut down in flames. And you know, Sonia referred to this. You talked about this recently. I think it was you anyway in your video about wrapping our self-worth into our business. You know, I see that all the time, and that's why I spotted it straight away when I saw the comment about marketing myself. You know, we don't need to market ourselves, and I think again, men are much more able to separate in that way than women, because I think we're conditioned by society to believe that what we do has to be perfect. And has to please and has to, you know, all of that stuff. So what I did before I jumped on to do this live is I kind of like looked at, because I think there are these cons around being a woman in business, you know, this being perfectionist, scared of taking risks, fears around being judged, wrapping our work and our identity, our worth and our identity in with our work and our offering. Those I see as like the cons of being a woman in business. And then there are all the pros, which I just think are so much more powerful than any con could ever be, that it's so important that we put ourselves out there because of it. This is the piece that I think can change the world. So I've written on my pros list, you know, we're nurturers, you know, as women. And again, you know, there are men who nurture and women who don't. It's, you know, in a way, what I'm talking about is the feminine and the masculine rather than men and women. But as women, we tend to embody the feminine more. You know, it's a nurturing energy. We're empathic, you know. That's never been more evident to me since I've been in my relationship. You know, I've almost had to train my husband how to show empathy when I'm struggling with something. He just doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. And again, you know, not all men are like that, but women, it's such an innate trait that we feel empathy for people. And I'm sure we've all felt it this week watching each other's videos. You know, when I've seen someone feel emotional or get nervous, or, you know, I'm in there with you feeling it, you know, as if it were me, as if I were in that position. This is incredible for business, or it can be if we learn to embrace it. I also wrote down sensitive. You know, often we're told, I know I have been as a woman, so many times in my life, that I'm too sensitive, where sensitivity is, you know, such a gift when it comes to the kind of work that we're doing. I mean, and any work involves people. Any business involves customers, which are people. You don't have to be a heart-centered service business like many of us are in. Any business is dealing with people. Pharmaceuticals are dealing with people's lives, you know. Tobacco companies are dealing with people's lives, you know. All of this, yeah, empathy. It just, for me, it's so important, and sensitivity. And then I've got caring and service, you know, as women. And again, this can flip over to become a negative for us. You know, we love to serve. We love to serve people and support people. And someone, again, I can't remember who it was, somebody said in one of their videos, they were talking, I think, about easing suffering, or maybe that was on a coaching session. It all blurs in. I've had so many conversations and watched so many videos lately, but this deep desire to ease people's suffering, you know, that's quite a feminine trait. And it can flip into a negative for us if we put other people's feelings consistently before our own. So these pros and cons of being a woman in business, I think, you know, require some work for us to find this balance where we're in this space where we can nurture and care for and empathize with our people. And in doing so, you know, create financial security for ourselves and our families. But we have to battle these demons, these, you know, this desire to be perfect, and, you know, this fear of being judged and taking risks and messing up in front of other people. So, you know, so much of the challenge for me this you know, this week is about, you know, really supporting women to get over these fears. You know, there's nothing like a Facebook Live challenge to get over your fear of being perfect, you know, so, or not being perfect, I should say. And so then, you know, how that then has the potential to change the way we do business, and therefore change the world, is huge. And I've kind of hinted at it a bit, but the big piece for me is, you know, the way that business works at the moment is, in the majority, I would say 99.9% of business is putting profits before people. And my belief is that the more women are involved in business, the more that turns on its head, and we start to put people before profits. So that's something I talk a lot about in my coaching, and it's something that I really love. And the person who articulated it first for me was Heidi Taylor in the Selling with Soul class that we have inside the academy. If you haven't taken a look at that class, it's wonderful. There were so many big aha moments for me, you know, watching that class or recording that class with her. I was with her when she was creating the videos. And so she talks about putting the person before the sale, which I love, you know, and I talk a lot about that with people who are, you know, coaches, healers, teachers, people who are, you know, often selling to people, you know, through an enrollment conversation. You know, as a coach, you know, if I'm going to sell a coaching package to someone, they don't just click a button on a website. I have a conversation with them. And so, you know, putting people before the sale, putting the person in front of me before the sale, means that I'm not thinking, you know, please buy, just so I can get that, you know, I just want this sale so that I can, you know, pay my rent or whatever it might be. I really think about, is what I'm offering right for you? is it something that's going to really serve and support you? And imagine if the world of business in its entirety worked in that way. Just imagine. I mean, we wouldn't have tobacco companies. Pharmaceutical companies would be completely different. There'd just be, I mean, it would just be fast food restaurants would probably cease to exist, or, would exist in a completely different way. So, for me, it's such an exciting idea of putting people before profits. And I see women as a huge catalyst and facilitator of that change, which is why I do the work that I do, and why it's so meaningful to me. So I don't know how long I've been talking. Oh, wow, 16 minutes. I've rambled on. It goes so fast for me when I'm on these lives. So yeah, that's what it means to be a woman in business. Why it's important to be a woman in business is because I think that's how we change the world. I hope it makes sense. I'm just going to look. I realize there's some comments here. Oh, bless you, Vanessa. Vanessa says, yeah, she feels the same about the differences in men and women and the empathy and the nurturing. Yeah, I think, it's our gift. And I think often something that comes up for me there is, I know from my point of view that part of me has often been, it's weird, women get such a hard rap. We're kind of like pushed into that position as well. You be the mother, don't build businesses, just look after people. And at the same time, our ability to be, to express empathy and to be sensitive is often criticized, because we're too emotional, or, I mean, my partner thinks I'm hysterical because I'll cry watching the news, I cry watching a movie, I cry, because I feel it so much. And so I think we're conditioned often to even suppress those things that are our gifts, which is so I don't know, such a crying shame to me. So I hope what I said makes sense. I would love to hear what your thoughts are. I can't wait to hear what you share in your videos today. I know it's been a hard week. 5 days of Facebook Lives it is a challenge. It's hard work to show up every day. You've all been doing so incredibly well. I'm so inspired by you. You reconnected me to my mission. This wasn't the prompt for today. It was something, I think it was like, show us behind the scenes in your, home office or something. And I felt really inspired to change the prompt for today because of how you've been showing up this week and what you've been bringing to the table, because it's just reminded me how absolutely fucking amazing we are as women, and how important it is that we are in business and that we make our businesses visible and successful. Anyway, I'm getting on my soapbox a little bit here. I feel so passionate about this topic, and that's thanks to you ladies for showing up in the way that you have. So enjoy your Friday. Enjoy your final Facebook Live for this week. Enjoy the break that you get on Saturday and Sunday. There will be emails and there will be prompts, but they're very gentle and they're not in any way asking you to go live or record videos. It's other stuff that I will put in those emails. So, and we'll meet back here on Monday with more Facebook Lives. So have wonderful weekends. So much love to you all.